undeniable obsession.
There's a lot more alignments that you need to do.
I like to spend a lot of time understanding what's working.
Because the least that you want to be in this stage is an overpaid product manager.
If you can't build a dream team, you will not be able to reach like 10 million in ARR.
Welcome back to the Grow Your B2B SaaS podcast. My name is Jorn Hoffman. I'm the host of the podcast and also the founder of Reditus, so I am going on the exact same journey as you are. In this video, it's a summary video. We summarize the answers of 20 industry experts on the question, what kind of advice would you give a SaaS founder growing to 10 million ARR? If you haven't reached the 10K MRR yet, go and watch that video, because this is going to be purely towards the companies who already reached the 10K MRR and now growing beyond that. Let's just dive right in.
What's really cool is that there's less resistance. Whereas if it's like, no, here's how we're going to scale it to 10 mil and this is the product in motion, and like this fancy consulting comes in and shares it all, it almost never gets implemented.
Here's how we're positioned. Here's what we're ultimately, like, here's what we're providing to the market. Here are maybe not just one best paying customer, but here's our top 2 to 3 segments.
Find what makes you unique. Find something that allows you to tell the story that makes you unique.
To understand your prospect and their world better than anybody else, and you need to define, document, demonstrate, deliberately practice the skills necessary to do it. Without those, nothing else matters. We don't need to talk subject lines yet. We don't need to talk, cold calling yet. Like, you need to know those things first to then be able to build upon it.
Where are all users coming from? So if one of those channels drops off, I can find out why. Sometimes it could be as simple as like just a broken link that happened or a budget ran out somewhere. And then, which customers are we able to retain best? Making sure that we're going out and targeting more of those types of customers, but really like learning from the data of your success and just doubling down on the things that are working.
One thing is you have to build a business and an organization around the product. You have to make yourself more obsolete from day-to-day operations.
You cannot have really the cowboy mentality anymore, like, oh, we'll see it when we speak to a customer if it's still perfect. You need to have something structured. So now it becomes more strategic. How do we talk about our pricing and in terms and conditions? How can we upsell midterm if we feel like it? How do we deal with indexation?
It might be uncomfortable for you to go on YouTube and sit on a video like this or join a podcast episode like we're doing right here. And it might feel like you're crossing a boundary if you have to go up and do public speaking and standing in front of a bunch of people and talk. But don't fool yourself into thinking that just because your SaaS products is starting to make money, that you as the founder don't have to show up anymore. You absolutely do.
It's all about creating leverage, being focused on high leverage opportunities and building processes so that you can outsource the groundwork to other team members or partners or like whoever you are working with.
Hiring the right people. It's tough. It's because like when you don't have like experience in hiring, you're going to make mistakes. And I guess like even when you have experience, you're going to make mistakes. But for me, people are everything.
Keep on speaking to customers, because that is the real driver for any company.
Parallel obsession with how do we deliver a profitable, sustainable, successful go-to-market motion where our business can continue to grow and scale in this new world where it's not growth at all costs and we're not going to burn hundreds of millions of dollars to maybe get to 10, 20, 30 million ARR.
You need to have a predictable, repeatable sales process that a 25-year-old kid can follow, right? So here's how we do our first call. Here's how we set it up. Here are the questions we ask. Here's what we're trying to do.
Make sure you've got your numbers in order, because investors are going to go through your data points very, in a huge amount of detail.
You need marketing processes. You need your sales processes. You need your team processes. It can't happen without that. And I can't tell you how many clients I take on in the 3 to 4 million range, and they're just kind of all over the place, very scattered, and they don't have process for this. They don't have process for that. And they admit it. They realize it. And that's kind of what happens when you grow quickly.
Do not think this is a cookie cutter recipe. The way you're going to grow to the next stage, to 10 million, then to the 100 million, is going to be very different to the way you grow until now. And the only way to do that is to measure.
Now you can get those bigger players that you might not have been able to get a hold of in the early phases of your company. So leveraging the fact that other affiliates are having success with your program is a really good step here.
we still had to learn to put our eggs in other baskets as well, because you can't really build a business just one channel, because that channel can always start breaking.
10 emails a day from institutional investors. If you're still a bootstrapper at 10 million, there are so many different types of people that want to give you money. From what I understand, they don't provide that much value. I think at best they can be not a part of your world, and at worst they can ruin your life, sort of. It's like this pitch of like, oh, we're going to give you go-to-market advice or whatever. You don't need it. Nobody, you know, they're not really going to help you hire that much. Kick that bootstrapping thing down the road a few more years, you could get to this dream world where there's a lot of revenue, the business is substantially de-risked, like you're paying yourself a lot every year. And if you hit 10, you're on your way.
You really want to then take that pattern and solve for the problem of how do you make it repeatable? You need to then be able to take the target market, right? The sales pitch, the value proposition, the sales pitch, the onboarding, the implementation, and turn it into a methodology and have it be something that can be easily taught to people.
This is the end of the summary episode. If you like this content, make sure to actually watch the full summary episode on all major podcast platforms, because this is a summary of the summary. And in general, if you like the content we're pushing out with the podcast, make sure to give us a subscribe, follow, a like, anything you can do to actually help us to reach more SaaS founders. If you are looking to grow your MRR as a B2B SaaS, check out Reditus. One thing I do want to say, for season 4, we're going to interview more SaaS founders on their journey. So if there's anything you want to know, which is going to make your life easier, help you to avoid mistakes, maybe even grow faster, let me know, ping me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to discuss those topics in season 4. For now, have a good day.